You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode 119.1, our boys basketball scoreboard for Saturday's games in Blackford, Delaware, Grant, Howard, Madison, Tipton, and northern Hamilton counties.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengelt.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever you've chosen to listen to the Central Indiana Sports Report, we believe you've chosen wisely. Today is December 15th, 2024. It's a Sunday, so it's another day for the Central Indiana Sports Report. I'm your host, Greg Mengelt. Producer Susie is in the control room, back at headquarters in Jeffersonville. Can't wait till we move the headquarters to Central Indiana. Coming up, we will have scores and highlights and conversations with some coaches and players from Saturday's games. Then on Monday's Week in Review, we'll have more on all of these games as well as the rest of the past week. With results, stats, and highlights, we'll also name a Player of the Week, a Team of the Week, and some other awards like that. Also, looks like Kokomo is going to keep its spot on top of our weekly Central Indiana Sports Report Power Poll, but there's at least one challenger out there. Before we get to some local highlights, let's look at Saturday's scores from across Central Indiana. And we start at the Muncie Fieldhouse where there was a 5-game shootout. Michelle Garman and I were there for that and have some reports and some sound bites coming up. Monroe Central started the day at the Fieldhouse with a 68-61 Mid-Eastern Conference win over Westdale. Class 2A number 7 Lapel bounced back from a loss Friday for an 81-73 win over Burris. Delta got by Class 2A number 5 Tipton 48-42 to give the Blue Devils a surprising 0-2 weekend. Hamilton Heights edged a young Muncie Central team 48-41. Bright future for that Muncie Central program. Garin Catholic beat Yorktown 64-34, outscoring the Tigers 59-19 over the final 3 quarters. And it was a big day in Anderson. Anderson Prep is 5-1 for the first time ever after a 70-63 overtime win over Seton Catholic. Class A number 4 Liberty Christian beat University for the first time in 9 years, 56-51. And Class 4A number 12 Anderson improved to 4-0 with a 68-25 win over Northrop. Class 4A number 13 Kokomo is 5-0 for the first time in 12 years after a 67-57 win over Lebanon. Marion smacked winless Wabash 79-34. Oak Hill had a 2-0 weekend by beating previously unbeaten Class 3A number 17 Mechaniqua 70-68. Tri Central keeps Alexandria winless 49-43. Bluffton beat Elwood 60-15. Western won its 5th game in a row 57-51 at Rossville. Class 2A number 1 Wapahani is 5-0 after beating Hagerstown 68-50. Southwood beat Eastern 65-39. Northwestern kept Frankfort winless 64-38. And Eastern Hancock is 2-0 in the Mid-Eastern Conference after beating Daleville 66-42. To the Southport Tip-Off Classic, where a lot of the state's top teams were played on Saturday. 8th-ranked Noblesville beat number 4 Jeffersonville 64-54 behind 21 points from Baron Walker. Julius Gizzy had 28 points in Class 3A number 5 New Pals 65-53 win over Zionsville. Future Butler star Xavier Robinson had 30 points, and number 5 Lawrence North's 77-59 win over number 2 Greenfield. Braylon Mullen scored 36 of Greenfield's 59 points. Warren Central 65, Class 4A number 15 South Bend Riley 55, and Avon beat Southport 47-43. Some other scores of interest. Peru continues its hot start with a 70-48 win over Northfield. Jay County 58, Newcastle 56 in overtime. Shortridge beat Richmond 57-54. Clinton Prairie beat Western Boone 61-51. Delphi beat Class 2A number 18 Benton Central 67-58. West Lafayette beat Tri-West in overtime 79-74. And Shelbyville remains unbeaten after beating Whiteland 67-64. Jason Garner Jr. scored 18 for number 1 Fishers in a big 70-55 win over 3A number 1 Crispus Attucks. Hamilton Southeastern beat Crystal House 48-39, fresh off of Friday's upset of Brebeuf. And 3A number 7 Brebeuf bounced back to beat Lafayette Central Catholic 55-36. Before we get to Saturday's highlights and our conversations with some coaches and players, please go now and like, subscribe, or follow us on your favorite podcasting host site so you do not miss a single segment. We're also at YouTube now. Just search Central Indiana Sports Report, and all of our podcasts are streaming at YouTube. We start with the 5 games at Muncie that Michelle Garman and I attended Saturday. It started with Monroe Central's 68-61 win over Westdale. Westdale's now 3-2 overall and 1-2 in the conference. Senior Josiah Love had 29 points. He was 11 for 19 from the field and had 6 rebounds. Also for Westdale, senior Gabriel Becerra, 13 points and 8 rebounds. The Warriors are at 2A number 1 Wapahani on Friday, then host 0-4 Daleville on Saturday this week. Monroe Central is now 3-1 overall and 2-0 in the Mid-Eastern Conference. Lapel improved to 3-2 on the season, bouncing back from a loss to Wapahani on Friday with an 81-43 win over Burris. Brody Judge had 18 of his 22 points in the first half to help the Bulldogs pick up an easy win. I spoke with Lapel head coach Kevin Cherry following the victory.
We don't try to measure success at this point in the season by necessarily wins and losses. Although you do want to win them all, and it's certainly better. It's more fun to learn when you win. But I would say it's a successful weekend.
What do you think your team did well this week and maybe improved on from the week before?
Well, we rebounded the basketball very well Friday night. Like we talked about, we out-rebounded Wapahani, and that was a big step forward for us in that regard. The second half of that Wapahani game, I thought we took a step forward in realizing some time and situation things, and so that was a positive we took away from the Pendleton game. And then to turn around on a short prep today against Muncie Burris, we came out and got on them right away, playing to our standard, regardless of opponent. We want to come out and execute, do the things we're trying to do, and we did that today, and got on them early, and our kids were anxious to compete like I thought they would be, and so we finished 1-on-1 on the weekend and get ready to play Monroe Central on Friday.
Besides the coming out and playing well, the good start, what did your team do well?
We were able to turn Muncie Burris over early. They were without one of their players that had started for them, and so they had a different starting lineup, but we were able to press them right off the bat and able to get some easy baskets in transition. We had 13 guys dressed on the roster, and 11 of those got into the scoring column. So it was a successful day by a lot of players, and the ones that didn't score were still great. They happened just not to score.
Lapel hosts 3-1 Monroe Central on Friday and 1-3 Mississinawa on Saturday. Burris is now 0-5 and is being beaten by 40.6 points per game. They're at 3-1 Monroe Central on Tuesday and 1-5 Elwood on Thursday, their final 2 games of the 2024 portion of their regular season. In perhaps the day's most competitive game, Delta beat Tipton 48-42, pulling away for the win. It's the 3rd straight win for Delta after a disappointing home loss to Mount Vernon last Friday. Senior forward Jordan Furney had 18 points, including 2 big 3-pointers in the fourth quarter. Junior Lucas Bragg had 13. He had hit all 3 of his 3-pointers in the second half, hit 2 big ones in the third quarter that took him from down 2 to up 4. I got to meet Delta head coach Mark Detweiler on Saturday, and here's what he had to say about the win.
The weekend of back-to-back of having a lead and losing it, and then the poise we've had late in the game, I'm really pleased with. I mean, I feel like we trust each other. We trust each other in late game situations, and we needed to tonight. we kind of rode the best matchup, and sometimes it was his matchup, sometimes it was Bronson, sometimes it was Lucas, so I thought we did a nice job of just making sure that we played through the right matchups down the stretch, and I think that was the difference.
I thought Lucas Bragg looked really good, had a lot of threes that were pretty clutch. How good to see a younger guy like him?
Well, and again, as long as when we play through those two, and now he's rolling, he's confident. Some of it's just repetitions and minutes, but I think we're settled in. We know who we are, and that's the piece right now that I'm happy with, because they're a tough matchup because of their size. You don't see many 6'5" point guards, and he's got great vision, and Coach Hawkins does a tremendous job. But I thought our guys played with a lot of trust in that second half, and it allowed us to kind of withstand their run that they put on us.
You guys lost Bronson midway through that fourth quarter there when he fouled out. What was it like to see the rest of the team just kind of fight through that?
One of them's my fault because I thought he had one last foul at the end of the third, so one of them's on me, the other four are all on him. But yeah, and you're right. It is. Those are things you don't want to have happen very often, but if they're going to have, it's nice in a game like this, non-conference game, where, okay, we're down one of our dudes, do we have somebody come in and step up, and do we make right decisions without one of those guys on the floor? And I thought we did.
I also spoke with Delta senior star Jordan Furney. I asked him why he thought the Eagles had the advantage in the fourth quarter over Tipton.
We just started hitting shots and just connecting on giving everyone opportunities to score. So we just started hitting shots overall.
This weekend, how do you feel about how the team came together and played as a team?
We did great. It was a back-to-back game, so we just had to lock in and watch film and get the dub.
And a couple of big shots in the third quarter from some teammates. How good was it to see them finally start falling?
It was great. We needed it. It was like a 5-point game, so we needed someone to step up, and Lucas hit a couple shots and everyone else did, so that was great.
The Eagles host 3-2 Jay County on Friday and then go back to Muncie Central to face the 2-3 Bearcats on Saturday. Tipton is now 2-2 after going 0-2 on the weekend. They were led once again by senior guard Grady Carpenter, who had 16 points, but he was just 4 for 13 from the field and had 6 turnovers. He also had 6 assists and 5 rebounds. Senior Sam Quigley, 8 points and 4 assists. Sophomore Grayson McFalls, 8 points and 4 rebounds. The Blue Devils also play Muncie Central this week. They host the Bearcats on Tuesday. Then they go to 2-3 Logansport on Friday. Here's Michelle Garman's post-game conversation with Tipton head coach Cliff Hawkins.
Cliff, your thoughts on today's game. I know it's another tough loss, but to come out and battle and be close and have a chance again after last night, it looks like maybe your kids did respond pretty well.
I thought we started responding really well this morning in practice. We looked at 3 minutes and 12 seconds of film, and they saw in those 3 minutes and 12 seconds some really things that they have to improve upon. I think all the players made that attempt tonight to improve. We're getting closer. Our defensive goal is 50 and under, and there's a reason why I said it that way, because I really thought this team's offense might be a little slower to come with the youth and their recognition and how tough they have to play. But I saw some great improvement today.
That's good. Of course, now another quick turnaround, because Tuesday you play Muncie Central. I guess it's kind of nice you're going to get an opportunity to see Central and Hamilton Heights play right now. So
yeah, we're really thankful to have this opportunity to do that. And I think, we can practice on Monday, and I think if we can improve as much as we did between last night to today in a tough game like this, I think we can get better on Tuesday, and we'll be on our home court. So this is a young team that's going to take a little while to get there, but we had another guy step up today. Isaac Hummerkaus had a good ball game coming in and starting for us. Got Jace some time today. And so, we'll just keep working at this. But I think there's a lot of things we're learning about this team. We said each game we'd use as a lesson, and certainly we did last night. We'll will this game as well.
And now, Greg wanted me to do this for the podcast. Go ahead and start this. How do you see your team? What do you like from the start of the season to now? If you encapsulate the first 4 games, which would be about a fifth of your season, how do you evaluate that?
Well, I think we're starting to trust. We're not there yet. We don't trust all the way, and until we trust completely. And part of that is some of the people don't trust themselves. And once they understand they can trust themselves, then I think we have a chance to really put this thing together. So it's going to take a little bit, but we have to continue to show them where we don't trust and where we do trust. And once they can see that, I think they can then begin to make the necessary corrections that they need to make. But I love their effort, and I love how they fought. I think what happened in the game against Delta was we were down at halftime last night and never really got it back. Tonight we got that lead, and then I think we may have relaxed a little bit. And so we have to work from that we can't relax once we get to where we want to be. And I thought we got a little impatient with our man offense instead of letting it work for us to our advantage.
Hamilton Heights has won 4 of its last 5 after beating Muncie Central 48-41 at the Bearcats' place on Saturday. Tyler Champion scored 13 points and was the game MVP. Senior Gavin Saunders also had 13 points, and senior Drayden Cerna added 9. I also got to meet Hamilton Heights head coach Chad Ballenger on Saturday, and here's what he had to say.
Man, it's an ugly win, but we'll take it. I thought we found a way to win. Our offense struggled today. We played so well last night. We were hoping it'd carry over, but it's a credit to Muncie Central. They just played really tough defense, and the physicality shoved us out and just got us out of rhythm enough that we kind of struggled. It's back-to-back games for us. They didn't play last night. They hadn't played since Monday. I was a little worried about that, the fatigue, but our kids grinded it. We've got 2 starters out. So we've had a nice little run with 2 starters out, and our kids have really responded. It's going to make us deeper. I'm really pleased with what we've done the last couple of weeks.
Well, it probably helps to have someone like Tyler Champion, who athletically can match up a lot well with the quickness and athleticism.
It is, and he's an all-state football player. He was an all-state wide receiver this year in 3A, and he played for us last year. He's a great leader. Gavin Saunders has came on strong. Carson Felger's one that when you look at the box score, he doesn't have many points, but he's got rebounds, he's got steals, he's got deflections. He makes us go. I've been real pleased with the way Carson Felger's been playing. And they've all responded well, but those are a couple that, have really stepped up and played well. Gavin Reesnap has really done a nice job. He hasn't shot the ball as well, but he's done other things. He got to the free throw line late, got a couple of big rebounds. So it's just, we're starting to find our roles, and we're starting to figure things out. And then here in another week or 2, we'll get guys back and we'll start all over. But it's a good problem to have.
With that, I'm going to guess you like the way your season's progressed to this point since you've had the injuries?
We started with Noblesville and Guerin the first 2 weeks, which 2 top 5 teams, and we didn't respond very well. We played well in spurts. We played Noblesville even for 2 quarters. First and fourth killed us. Guerin was even after 1. Third quarter was good, but our second and fourth. So those we've kind of looked at like that's where we need to be when we've played well in those games. And then we've gotten to these games today, and we found different ways to win. Our offense wasn't clicking, but our defense kept us in it. That's something the past few years we wouldn't have grinded that out and been able to win. But we got kids that are working their tails off. They're listening. They're very coachable. It's been a blast the last few weeks, just being able to kids understanding their roles and getting things accomplished.
The Huskies host 5-1 Western on Friday. In a Hoosier Conference contest, the Panthers have won 5 in a row and beat Tipton this week. They also host 4-2 West Lafayette on Saturday. Muncie Central falls to 1-3 with the loss. They were led by junior Shamar Taylor, who scored 9 of his team-high 11 points in the first half. Freshman Carlos Eccles and freshman Jackson Johnson scored 8 points apiece. Like I said, that program is one on the rise. Spoke with Muncie Central head coach Justin Ollum following the loss.
All right, obviously, not the result that you guys wanted, but just a general statement on the game, how that went.
I felt like the second quarter, our shot selection was really poor, and it allowed long run-outs and layups for them, and we just kept taking one-on-one shots. We didn't reverse the ball very many times, and when you dig a hole against a quality opponent, it was too much for us to get out of. I thought we played fairly well in the second half. Our shooting percentage isn't what we want it to be, but that's not a reflection of how hard we played and how we executed some sets and got good shots. But really, it was the hole in the second quarter.
I feel like in the first quarter, you guys didn't really take that many bad shots. So what kind of changed going into the second quarter?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
How much does youth and inexperience have to do with it?
Well, I'm sure, everyone on the outside, and even at times we say that, but none of the players are going to say that. They all want to be who they want to be right now. And it may take some time, but we've got good basketball players that have played a lot of basketball. And I think they'll make a jump. We're probably hoping it's soon, but it may be later this season. Certainly hasn't made it yet.
Yeah, clearly a skilled bunch, right?
Yeah. I think we're all pretty surprised with our shooting percentage being so low, but that's okay. I can live with that when they're good shots. That second quarter got to be really pretty selfish.
Yeah. You guys have now hosted this for 2 years. Kind of, how exciting has it been to host this?
Yeah, it's a fun event. One, you get to see a lot of people that you know from Delaware County, all the other schools and coaches. Turned into a pretty nice event, and hopefully it keeps growing.
Through 2-3 weeks now here, how you feeling about what the progress that your team's making?
Yeah, I feel like we've made some progress. It may not have shown tonight, but we really just had one poor quarter. I think we've had some lapses in our first few games that maybe lasted a little longer, but we responded there at halftime, got going in the third, and that's what we want to see from this group is just better responses when we get either punched in the mouth or things aren't going our way.
And in the final game, Class 3A number 3 Garin Catholic beat Yorktown 64-34. Garin was down 15-10 at the end of the first, then outscored the Tigers 54-19 the rest of the way. Yorktown is now 3-2 and lost both games over the weekend. Sophomore point guard Mason Trammell scored 11 points, hit 2 out of his 3 3-point attempts, and had 3 rebounds. That guy's going to be good too. Coming up, Yorktown has a double Hoosier Heritage Conference weekend, hosting 4-1 Greenfield Central on Friday and 5-0 Shelbyville going to 5-0 Shelbyville on Saturday. Garin Catholic is now 5-1. They bounced back from Friday's loss, their first of the season, to Class 4A number 6 Westfield. Senior Bryson Cardinal, the son of former Purdue star Brian Cardinal, 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Sophomore Jake Grisham had 11 points. The Golden Eagles host Pendleton Heights on Tuesday. Delaware County went 1-4 on the day. Good for them for scheduling tough competition instead of just scheduling a bunch of easy wins for their schools, which would have been a lot less fun for the fans. All right, to our other games, a 3 o'clock start at Bluffton. The host Tigers beat Elwood 60-15. Elwood had 2 points at halftime. The Panthers are now 1-5 and have lost 4 in a row. Junior Corbin Level and sophomore Jackson Gordon scored 12 of Elwood's 15 points. Elwood hosts 0-5 Burris on Thursday. Bluffton is now 3-1 and has won 3 in a row. Also in the CIC, Oak Hill held on to beat Mechaniqua 70-68. The Golden Eagles are 4-2 after a great weekend, beating Mississinewa and Mechaniqua. Owens Middlesworth had his best game of the year. The senior had 16 points, hit 4 3-pointers, had 3 steals and 2 assists. Junior RJ Sugar led the Golden Eagles with 21 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. And junior Jace Tonigal finished with 17 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. And junior Beckham Lamb came off the bench for 10 points. They face Frankton in a big CIC contest on Friday in Converse. I spoke with Coach Renbarger following the win.
A lot of resilience tonight. Mechanical is a different animal altogether in the way that they play basketball. They will press you for 32 minutes, and they're going to get it out in transition and run on every trip, and they just put pressure on you on both ends of the floor. Obviously, after what transpired last night and what went into that game, we were concerned about how we would respond, and we struggled at times. We got down double digits, I think at least 3 times. But again, to our kids' credit, their resilience, they hung in there and came back each time. We get down 13, we bring it all the way back to within a basket or two. I think we tied it a couple of times. But then late in the game, we were able to make enough stops to actually get a lead from being down 10 to being up 6, and did just enough to kind of hold on. RJ Sugar made some key free throws towards the end of the game, and Jace Tonigal actually made a basket with about 3 seconds to go to put us up 2. Mechanical had a decent look, but it wasn't from a guy by the name of Josiah Ball, so we were okay with the look that they took. So balanced scoring in the end. RJ led us with 21. Jace had 17. Owen Middlesworth stepped up with 16, and Beckham Lamb had 12.
I bet it's really nice in these close games to have a couple of guys who you feel really comfortable having the ball in their hands.
It does. We talk about all of the things that we are kind of lacking or have deficiencies, but the one area of strength is that we have 2 primary point guards on the floor. We're comfortable with the ball being in Jace and RJ's hands. They're both 80% free throw shooters and usually make good decisions when the ball's in their hands. And then obviously both of them are scorers. So, I think it's an advantage that we have that, not a lot of other teams in our local area have the same luxury, I guess we would say.
Mechanical is now 2-1. Tri-Central is 2-2 after a 49-43 win at Alexandria in the first game of the renovated gym at Alexandria. The Trojans were led by junior Jay Jankowiak with 16 points and 10 rebounds. Senior Drake Ramsier had 10 points. Senior Logan Younts, 7 points and 10 rebounds. I spoke with Tri-Central head coach Cam Hindman after the win. I asked him how his team was able to get the job done on the road.
We've got a bunch of kids that work really, really hard, and they came into practice this morning, and we went. Normally on a Saturday morning, if we've got a game that evening, we'll take it relatively easy, and we didn't this morning. We came in and worked really hard on a lot of different aspects that we needed to improve from last night, and we just got a bunch of kids that responded very well. I was super proud of how things went. We had a little bit of a rough first quarter, but we won the second, third, and fourth, and we did things that we needed to do. We made the adjustments we needed to do. It's just a bunch of kids that decided they didn't want to lose tonight, and got her done on the road.
What did your team do particularly well?
Well, we played against the zone a lot better than what we had the last couple of nights. For some reason, we struggled to score against the zone. And I think our guards were much better tonight, much more comfortable tonight, and made a lot better decisions. We still had a lot of turnovers, and we've got to get that cleaned up and fixed. I think we had 22 tonight's what I had us for. A lot of those were in the first quarter again, which is very similar to the game last night against Eastern. And but that got taken care of, and we just settled down and handled their pressure. They have a pretty good press, Alexandria does, and it gave us some trouble in the first quarter, and we started handling that much better. And I think that that settled us down, and we were able to just play basketball after that.
At a quick glance, it looks like you had several good performances, and including Jay Jankowiak, 17 points, 10 rebounds. Tell us who played well for you.
We had who played well for us. Honestly, was the entire team. I told him at the I'll make this quick at the end of the game that we're at a spot where we can sub guys in and out pretty much whenever we need, and we've got guys on the bench and reserve roles that are paying attention to the game when they come in. They know what we're doing. We don't have to remind them what defense, what offense we're in. They just step right in, and it's like we didn't sub. So that was a really, really bright spot tonight. Drake struggled scoring in the first half. He had 4 on a couple of trips to the foul line, and he hit all of these free throws in the first half. But then he had a really good fourth quarter for us. He had hit a big 3, had another layup, and went to the foul line again. Isaiah Fowler had a pretty good game. He had a really, really good first half for us. He got to the basket. Aaron Hoback finally got that 0 knocked off of his scoring for the year, and I was really proud of what Aaron did. Aaron had a monster offensive rebound and putback late in that fourth quarter that made a big difference. Logan Sargent came in. He starts for us and had a little rough patch in the third, and he was out at that particular time. I put him in at kind of a key moment in the fourth quarter. We were up 3, and he comes in the game. He got the ball out of bounds. They were in a full court press, and he got fouled and stepped up the line and stuck two monster free throws in with a lot of pressure on him. So super proud of him there. Logan Yount stepped in and scored 7 for us. Cooper Leininger came off the bench and played some monster minutes for us. So it was just, if you have the proverbial team win, it was this one.
Alexandria is 0-5 for the first time in 12 years. And the Tigers host Eastbrook on Friday in a CIC contest, then host 5-0 and top-ranked Wapahani on Saturday. Madison Grant took its first loss of the season, 51-50 at home against Lewis Cass. Madison Grant had a 6-point lead late, but turnovers doomed them. They had 5 of their 10 turnovers in the final 4 minutes of the contest. Madison Grant, which is now 3-1, was led by senior Luke Gilman, 16 points. Cass is now 1-4. Western won for the 5th straight game after opening the season with a home loss to Kokomo. The Panthers beat Rossville 57-51 on the road. Junior Carter Biggs got the Panthers off to a great start with 3 3-pointers in the first quarter. He finished with a team-best 21 points. Senior Sam Thurston had 13, freshman Eli Mast and senior Hudson Big had 8 points apiece, and junior center Levi Shoemaker finished with 6. I spoke with Western head coach Cam Bennington following the win.
Yeah, I'm really proud of our kids for finding a way to win tonight and for the great weekend we put together, and really 2 back-to-back weekends where we got wins on Friday night and Saturday night. And I think it's a similar weekend as last, in that we had an emotional victory on Saturday night or on Friday night, and then Saturday night we had to find a way to get up for the game again. And last week we played a struggling team, and we're able to take care of business without playing super well. But tonight we played another top 10 team. Ross was ranked in the top 10 in Class 1A, and we were playing at their place, and it was a packed house, small gym. It was loud in there, and it was a really, really tough environment to play. And Coach Dunn's kids were playing really, really hard, and they kept coming. We kept trying to put them away, and we never could, and they just kept hanging around. But we made enough plays at the end to get another win. I'm just awfully proud of our kids for finding a way.
It was an incredible night for the schools in Anderson. We start with Anderson Prep's 70-63 overtime win over Seton Catholic. The Jets outscored Seton 13-6 in overtime. They actually got to overtime by outscoring Seton Catholic 14-5 in the fourth. So they outscored them 27-11 in the fourth and overtime. Anderson Prep is 5-1 for the first time in program history. Senior Cameron Anderson finished with 24 points. Senior Zamarian Bryant finished with 22. Senior Marcus McLean had 13, and senior Lincoln Fathauer finished with 7. The Jets will go for their 6th win on Friday against crosstown rival Liberty Christian, their last game of the year. The 6 wins would tie a program record before the calendar even flips. I spoke to Anderson Prep assistant coach Mike King following the thrilling overtime win. Welcome to the Central Indiana Sports Report. Anderson Prep assistant coach Mike King here to talk about a big win for the Jets tonight. Beating Alexandria, huge to start the year. This one was awfully big too, though.
Yeah, we talk all the time with our kids about, games, and there's some games, every coach kind of looks at their schedule at the beginning of the year and they say, these games are games that, maybe we have a better chance to win. And this group of games is, going to be really tough for us. Not that it's impossible, but really tough. And then kind of the bulk of your schedule is, games that you could win or could lose. And this certainly was in that category. And, our kids, to their credit, we just couldn't be more proud of their effort and their mental toughness. You're right. It is a huge win for us.
Yeah, just the 3rd time in program history with 5 wins already through 6 games. This is not your grandfather's Anderson Prep Jets. Nobody has their grandfather's Anderson Prep Jets, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
This is a brand new team, isn't it?
It is. In a lot of ways, we have every kid that's in our program has been, with the exception of one, was an Anderson Prep Jet when I got here 3 years ago.
Right.
Coach Scott was here and he did a good job of setting a foundation for our kids. And then, Coach Fathauer stepped in and has kind of taken it from there. And our kids, we've done Coach Fathauer, in fact, and the rest of the staff, we've done a great job of just trying to, teach these kids, hey, if you work hard and you do things the right way, then good things are bound to happen because your talent then takes over. And to their credit, our kids have done just that. They've worked their tails off. In the summer, we're playing tons of games in the summer. They're in the gym all year long in the room. And we keep preaching, hey, work hard, things will happen. And this is kind of the fruit of their labor.
And tonight's win, a lot different than the previous ones have been, with Lincoln kind of taking control in the scoring. And tonight, a lot of different scores, a lot of big nights. Tell us how you guys got it done.
Well, the good news for us is we have legitimately, I think, 4 kids that on any given night could go out and get you a really good night. And so, when you have that kind of availability, when you have that option, then it makes it difficult for opposing teams to say, hey, we're just going to play defense on this kid or these 2 kids. And so, tonight, Cameron Anderson had a huge night for us, was in foul trouble early. And so he set most of the first half with a couple of fouls. Kind of salted it away, with some free throws late in the overtime period. And to get us into overtime even, Big Z, Zamarion Bryant, he played a great game for us. He was a terror all night long. And so those 2 guys tonight, now there were other contributors, of course, Marcus McLean and Lincoln, and they all did their part. But those 2 guys tonight, it's some nights it's been Lincoln, some nights it's been Marcus, some night, whatever. But tonight it was those 2 and hey, congratulations to them. And I'm just excited and proud of it.
Besides making free throws, clearly looking at the scorebook, that was a key to winning. Besides that, what did you do well down the stretch and in overtime to be able to pull this one out?
Sure. Yeah, we were down 9 in the 3rd quarter, and they got into a little foul trouble, as did we. I think we might have set a state record for fouls called in the game, but both teams are in foul trouble, and Cameron, we put him in the mid post there in their zone, against their zone, and he's so strong and so good with the ball that once he gets it, he kind of just has that ability to get to the rim and get to the free throw line or to kick it out. Z in the first half, especially, and down the stretch too, Quite honestly, he was so good with the ball tonight. Take his man off the dribble, get to the rim, get to the free throw line, that kind of stuff. And again, Marcus stepped up and hit a couple of big threes for us. And Lincoln had a couple of huge rebounds going down the stretch. And so, like I say, everybody who played contributed, right? Everybody who played put their part in, and without any one of them, we wouldn't have won tonight.
Sounds like a great team win and a win, a type of win that can build some momentum going forward into the season.
Absolutely. The thing is that like if somebody who kind of is just a for lack of a better term, average bystander, they'll look and they'll say, hey, well, Seton Catholic hadn't won a game. But, the truth of the matter is, in my opinion, Seton Catholic may be the best 1A winless team in the state.
Yeah,
they haven't lost too many games by too many points.
Yeah, that's not an ordinary winless team.
No, absolutely not. They're well coached. They play really hard, and they're good ball players. So, for us moving forward, we got a huge task with Liberty next week. We'll kind of tell the kids, enjoy it tonight, that kind of stuff. And, next week we'll get back at it and get ready, try to get ready for Liberty. They're big time. And so we're going to try to, put our best foot forward. But to just like you'd said, this win really pushes us along because it is a big win for us.
And I know Coach Fathauer, I talked to him a week or so ago, said getting to 6 wins was one of the goals, and you could do it against the Liberty. So big game coming up.
There you go.
Big game coming up. And we'll talk more about that later in the week, Coach.
Sure, absolutely.
Joining me now is Western head coach Cam Bennington. That's 5 wins in a row for the Panthers. Not only 5 wins in a row, but 2 wins against 2 good teams this weekend. Coach, your team is playing awfully well.
Yeah, I'm really proud of our kids for finding a way to win tonight and for the great weekend we put together, and really 2 back-to-back weekends where we got wins on Friday night and Saturday night. And I think it's a similar weekend as last in that we had an emotional victory on Saturday night or on Friday night, and then Saturday night we had to find a way to get up for the game again. And last week we played a struggling team, and we're able to take care of business without playing super well. But tonight we played another top 10 team. Ross was ranked in the top 10 in Class 1A, and we were playing at their place. And it was a packed house, small gym. It was loud in there, and it was a really, really tough environment to play. And Coach Dunn's kids were playing really, really hard, and they kept coming. We kept trying to put them away, and we never could, and they just kept hanging around. But we made enough plays at the end to get another win. I'm just awfully proud of our kids for finding a way.
And I'm sure you believed in your team coming into the season, but did you foresee a 5-1 start?
Yeah, I didn't really sit down before the season, to be honest with you, and think about the wins and which ones were going to win and which ones were not. But I will say this. Honestly, no. Here's the deal. I'm going to tell you this and be honest with you. We talked on the first day that we expected to be competitive in every single game this year, and we didn't think that there was anybody on our schedule that we couldn't beat. We had a great summer and a great spring, and the word that we've been using all the time is fearless, and that we're going to approach everything fearlessly. So I'm not going to say that I completely expected to be 5-1, but I'm not shocked, if that makes sense.
It does. I just think it's unnatural not to look at your schedule and say, oh, we probably should win these, and here are the teams that we're going to have a hard time against.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. It normally is. But, last year we won 5 games of the 22 we played.
That's a good point.
We spent the whole offseason just focusing on being process-oriented and getting a little bit better each and every day. And so I kind of tried to keep myself from looking at the end of the line and just start with game 1. And that's what I'm preaching to the kids, so I'm trying to stay true to it myself. And, I'm glad we're 5-1. I'm not shocked that we're 5-1, but I don't know if anybody expected it per se.
Yeah, it's looking back at 5 wins last year and being at 5 wins this year. Is it more of a relief or is it joy?
It's joy. It's joy. It's not a relief. I mean, sure it is. It takes some pressure off and you feel good, but we talked about after the game tonight. Tonight was a tough game, and not everything clicked like it did the night before, and we made some mistakes defensively and stuff, but we gutted it out and we found a way to win. And at the end of the day, we play the basketball games to win the game. And at the end of the day, basketball is a game, and it's a game we all love, but it's supposed to be fun, and games are supposed to be fun. And when you win, it's got to be something that you enjoy and you celebrate. Even the ugly ones, I think you got to celebrate them a little bit. So obviously there's probably a little relief when you've already got the 5 wins you got last year, but we're focusing on the positives right now and just enjoying where we're at, and then we'll be ready to go on Monday as we start to get prepared for a really good Hamilton Heights team.
Obviously, we talked a little bit about the toughness and the execution to win these games. What else did you feel like you did well enough that you did well enough tonight to be able to beat a team like Rossville?
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the toughness thing. What I'm gonna say is, but that we had the fortitude and the toughness to respond every time they made the run. We had multiple times we got up by 10, 11, 12 points, and it just felt like we were on the verge of burying them, and then they just wouldn't go away. And at one point in time, they tied the game at 43. And our response was to knock down shots, get to the basket, and execute. And score 7 unanswered to go back up 50 to 43. And I think that was kind of the run that put them away and kind of ended the game, even though it still ends up being a 6-point game. Just our ability to respond to adversity and overcome adversity when it happens, and stay true to our game plan and to our identities, and just do things the right way at all time. And I think if we continue to do that, we're going to be really hard to beat.
Looks like Carter Biggs got you off to a really good start.
Yeah, no, Carter had a great game today. He finished with 21, and Carter was kind of feeling it a little bit tonight. And I think he was probably on his way to a 30 or 35-point game if he doesn't pick up his second foul early in the second quarter. He hits 3 in the first and then hits 1 on the first or second possession of the second quarter, and he's got 12 points. And the hoop just looked like an ocean for him. And then he had to sit for a long time, and then you go through halftime, and then second half he's trying to get warmed back up and going. And then he did get going and made some tough plays for us down the stretch. To finish at the basket. He just had a really, really nice night offensively, and that's good to see because, he's a kid that's done that all along, and we've just kind of been waiting for that breakout game to happen. And, it wasn't a massive breakout game for him, but he had a really nice night offensively.
Who else played well for you, Coach?
Sam Thurston knocked down some shots. Sam's a kid that shot over 40% from 3 on the year last year, and has kind of, not, I don't want to say been struggling, but just hasn't really gotten the groove offensively. And he knocked down 3 3-pointers tonight and scored 13 points, and he was huge. Eli Mass, the freshman point guard, had another great game for us. Eli only had about 8 points, I think, at the end of the day, but he made 2 really tough shots down the stretch on drives to the rim, and finishing. And his defense was phenomenal tonight. He guarded their best player, who was averaging near 20 points a game, and held him to 8, and just did a phenomenal job. Levi Shoemaker rebounded really well around the basket and was a force defensively. And then Hudson Biggs, again, is just kind of our do-it-all guy, and he stayed true to what he did. Again, it was an ugly game that we found a way to win. I'm not going to say that anybody was amazing in all facets of the game, but I don't think that I sit here and say, that guy didn't play well tonight. I think we had a lot of guys who played well. It was sloppy at times, but we found a way to win. And at the end of the day, like I told the kids, that's most important. We'll worry about getting better on Monday.
And here's the big question. Eli Mast, when he leaves Western High School in 3 years, will he be remembered more for tennis or for basketball?
I hope it's basketball, but man, he's a heck of a tennis player. So that might be to be seen still.
Yeah, he beat some of the best players in Central Indiana this year as a freshman. What a year!
And he's a competitive warrior, man. He works at it, and him and Carter work at it and go at each other in practice every day. And it's fun to go to work with him and all the kids right now. We just got a bunch of kids that there's one thing on their mind, and it's trying to find ways to win, and it's really fun to be around.
Seton Catholic is now 0-5. Senior Grant Simler finished with 21 points. And they will look for their first win on Tuesday when they host 2-3 Knightstown. Liberty Christian got its first win over University in 9 years, and the first win for the Lions at University in 21 years, with a 56-51 victory. Liberty was led by sophomore TJ English, who had 16 points, going 7 for 13 from the field, with 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Senior Marion Page finished with 10 points and 9 rebounds. The Lions shot 50% from the field. They host rival 5-1 Anderson Prep on Friday, and then they're another rival 1-4 Pendleton Heights on Saturday. University is now 2-2. And Class 4A, number 12 Anderson beat Northrop 68-25. The Indians are 4-0 for the 4th straight year. Damian King led the Indians with 33 points, his second straight 30-point outing. Anderson led 31-16 at the half. Freshman Don Bowling added 15 points, going 4 for 5 from the field and 7 for 9 at the line, and had 4 rebounds and 2 steals. Junior Don LeRae Reese, 7 points and 6 rebounds. Anderson hosts 4-1 Mount Vernon in what should be a really good one on Tuesday. Northrop's now 3-3. Kokomo beat Lebanon 67-57 on Saturday. Seniors Zion Bellamy and Davion Young and junior Corbin Hamill combined for 48 of the Wildcats' 67 points. Kokomo is 5-0 for the first time since 2012. Hamill led the way with 17.6 rebounds and 6 assists. Bellamy had 16 points, 4 steals, and 2 assists, and Young finished with 15 points. Kokomo hosts Marion in a big NCC matchup on Friday, and then hosts Carmel on Saturday. Lebanon is now 3-2. They got 26 points and 6 rebounds from senior Colin Fouts. Marion is 4-1 after a 79-34 win over Wabash at Bill Green Arena. Junior Tim Jones led the Giants with 22, and senior Amar Rogers had 21. Junior Logan Barnes finished with 12, and junior Jace Freshwater had 10. Marion goes to 5-0 Kokomo on Friday and hosts 1-3 Huntington North on Saturday. Wabash is 0-6. Wabash's in-town rival Southwood is faring much better this year. They beat Eastern 65-39 on Friday. Southwood led 33-17 at the half. They were led by 35 points from junior Bryce Wilcox, who also had 9 rebounds and 3 steals. Southwood is 4-1 after bouncing back from its first loss of the season Friday against Peru. Eastern goes to 4-1 Sheridan for a conference game on Friday, then hosts 0-5 Cowan on Saturday. Northwestern beat Frankfurt 64-38, snapping a 2-game losing streak. The Tigers are now 3-2 and go to 4-1 Rochester for a Three Rivers conference game on Friday. Frankfurt is 0-5 for the second straight season. The Hot Dogs were led by sophomore Charlie Beardsley and junior Lucas Wagner, who combined for 27 points. Eastern Hancock beat Daleville 66-42. Daleville is now 0-4 overall and 0-3 in the conference. They have 2 more conference games coming up this weekend. They'll be almost through their entire conference schedule already. They host 1-4 Blue River on Friday and 3-5 West Dell on Saturday. Eastern Hancock's just 2-3, but they are 2-0 in the conference. 2A number 1 Wapahani won 68-50 at Hagerstown. It wasn't that close. It was 39-17 at the half. Wapahani is 5-0 for the second straight season. They were led by junior Camden Bell's 29 points. Senior Nate Luce had 12 points. Junior Eli Andrews had 11 points and 5 rebounds. And senior Logan Wolf finished with 9. Wapahani hosts 3-2 Westdell on Friday, then go to 0-5 Alexandria on Saturday. The loss ends Hagerstown 3-game winning streak. They are now 3-3. The Central Indiana Sports Report boys basketball player of the night is once again Anderson senior Damian King, who had his second straight 30-point performance in the Indian 68-25 win over Fort Wayne Northrop on Saturday evening. And now you know everything we know about boys high school basketball in Central Indiana. It was very nice meeting Hamilton Heights head coach Chad Ballenger, Muncie Central head coach Justin Ollum, and Delta's Mark Detweiler on Saturday. Thanks for them taking the time to join me on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Same with Delta senior Jordan Furney. Thanks also to Oak Hill head coach Kevin Renbarger, Tipton head coach Cliff Hawkins, Tri-Central head coach Cam Hindman, and Western's Cam Bennington for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report. Also, thank you to Anderson Prep assistant coach Mike King for joining the Central Indiana Sports Report for the first time. But thank you most of all to you for listening. You're what makes the Central Indiana Sports Report go. Be very nice of you, since you seem to be a fan of the show, since you listened for this long, if you would please tell a friend and help the podcast grow. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media.